Blast off. Hello.
Hi, friends. Your blast off was on the Georgia one too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
What are we doing here? How did we get here?
What even are we?
I don't know. I think my microphone stinks.
I don't smell nothing on mine.
I don't know. Anyway.
So hope your week's going good.
Yeah, I hope it's all right. I forgot to mention it at the end of the last episode, but we hope we saw some of you.
Oh yeah,
at the Magic and May Festival. At least one or two of yous.
Be nice.
Yeah,
I think Nighthawk said he was going to come.
Cool. Come get a sticker, or I hope you got a sticker
or a koozie,
and a button. All of the above.
All of the above.
I'll make sure for. This is past me, but future me. Reminding me
so confused.
To make sure that he gets a basketball sticker.
Oh, all right. So this week we are talking about reincarnation.
Yep.
Hold on. Let me check something before we go any further.
Do we need to talk about
Hold on. Let me check something before we go any further.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, we don't need to talk about it yet. You just go on. Kid, just go right on in.
Okay.
Dip right on in there.
She's got beef with me.
You'll learn. You'll learn about the beef here in about 10 minutes.
So I'm going to hop right on into it. So in religion and philosophy, reincarnation is the belief that an individual is reborn after their bodily death. Depending on the traditions, these rebirths could be in many different forms, such as human, animal, spiritual, or maybe even vegetable. Can you imagine how shitty of a person were you if you get reincarnated as a carrot?
Or a cucumber.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that, though.
I have literally never.
No. But people have, and it's foul. The belief in reincarnation.
Or an eggplant, and you're referred to as a dick all the time.
Yeah. The belief in reincarnation primarily stems from South Asian and East Asian traditions. However, it also appears in other religions and philosophical thought. It is the common belief that the soul leaves the body through the mouth or through the nostrils and then finds a new vessel, such as a bird, butterfly, insect, human, cat, dog, etc., etc. The Venda people of South Africa believe that upon a person's death, the soul will remain by the graveside for a short period of time and then will seek out a new resting place or find another body, which could be human, another type of mammal, or reptilian. In ancient Greek mythology, the mystery religion Orphic held the belief that an existing soul could survive bodily death and is later reincarnated into another human or mammal and would eventually receive release from the cycle of birth and death and then would regain its former pure state. In the 5th to the 4th century BCE, Plato believed that an immortal soul would participate in many reincarnations. Speaking of BCE, so you grew up going to church, right?
Mm-hmm.
So BC and AD, that's before Christ and after death?
Yes.
False.
Before Common Era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Brittany Broski TikTok the other day and she was like, wait a minute, what? And then it was like, if anybody tries to tell you that it's before Christ, after Christ, they're wrong. Or before Christ, after death. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't know that.
Just another construct that the Christians came up with.
So going hand in hand with this, many Asian religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism hold the common doctrine of karma. This law of cause and effect states that when what one does in this present life will have effects in the next life. In Hinduism, the birth and rebirth process is endless with a soul, until a soul achieves moksha, which means release from that process. This is achieved when one realizes that the eternal core of the individual and the absolute reality are one. And once this is realized, one can escape the process of death and rebirth. For over 45 years, the University of Virginia, or the UVA, has had a team at the Division of Perceptual Studies that has been collecting stories of people who can recall past lives. If professors are able to find that there is merit to these stories and memories, it could call into question whether our humanity ends with our death. So I've got a few stories on reincarnation, and the first one is Baby Sam. So just under the age of 2, a dark-haired baby boy named Sam looked up at his father, Ron, and said, "When I was your age, I changed your diaper." That would freak me out.
Right.
Ron looked at his son and smiled, but thought this was a strange thing to say, but just chalked it up to mishearing him. Over the next few months, baby Sam would make similar remarks, and eventually Ron and his wife Kathy were able to piece together a strange story. Sam believed that he was his dead grandfather, Ron's father, and had returned to his family. When Ron and Kathy asked Sam, "How did you come back?" he said, "I just went whoosh and came out the portal."
Okay.
Ron and Kathy said that Sam was a precocious child and had been speaking in full sentences since he was about 18 months old. But his parents were still stunned to hear him use a word such as portal. They prodded him with more questions, like if he had any siblings, to which he said that he had one sister who turned into a fish. They asked him who turned her into a fish, and he said some bad guys. She died. There was no way that Sam could have known that his dead grandfather had a dead sister who was murdered 60 years earlier. Her body was found floating in the San Francisco Bay.
Oh my God.
When they asked Sam how he died, Sam jerked back and slapped the top of his head as if he were in pain. 1 year before Sam was born, his grandfather died of a cerebral hemorrhage.
Isn't
that creepy?
Mm-mm.
Next, we have Ryan. One of the UVA case studies is of a boy named Ryan who lives in Oklahoma. When Ryan was 4 years old, he woke up screaming at 2 in the morning. For several months before this, his mother, Cindy, would take him to the house where he died, where he said he lived before, in tears. He would beg her to return him to his Hollywood life where he had fast cars, a pool, and a big house. He once told his mother, "I can't live in these conditions. My last home was much better." On that night, when Ryan awoke screaming, his mom ran to his room, and Ryan kept repeating the same words to her. "Mommy, I'm so homesick." She tried her best to comfort him and get him back to sleep. She said he was like a little old man who couldn't remember all the details of his life. He was so frustrated and sad. The following morning, Cindy went to the library and borrowed a pile of books about old Hollywood and brought them home. She and Ryan went through the volumes in hopes that some of the photos might soothe him. He instead became so excited when they went through one book in particular, and when they came to a still of a scene from the film Night After Night from 1932, Ryan stopped her. He shouted, "Mama, that guy's me, the old me." His mom stated that she was shocked and admits that she never thought they would find the person he thought he was, but that she was relieved. Ryan had talked about his other life and been so unhappy, and now he had something to go on. Unfortunately, the man in the photo was unnamed in the book. And despite Cindy and her husband not believing in reincarnation, she went back to the library the next day and checked out a book on children who possessed memories of another life. At the end of the book, the author, Professor Jim Tucker, included a note saying that he wanted to hear from parents who had children with similar stories, and so Cindy wrote to him. In Ryan's case, there was an archivist who spent much time researching in a film library until she found the person she believed to be the man that Ryan had pointed out in the film still. She believed he was Hollywood agent Marty Martin, who had made an uncredited appearance in Night After Night. After Cindy spoke with Professor Tucker, he interviewed Ryan. The family reached out to Martin's daughter, who met with Tucker, Ryan, and Cindy. With the help of public records and her knowledge of her father, she was able to confirm more than 50 specific details that Ryan had told her about her father's life, including work history and the location and contents of his home. Why would a little kid know that?
Right.
So Ryan's mother, Cindy, felt tremendous relief when she found out that Ryan's memories matched Martin's life, saying he wasn't crazy. There really was another family.
That's insane.
Yeah. Now, my next one, I think, is the one that she's got beef with me over.
No, it's not. It's your last one.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. No?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So the woman who lived 150 years ago. So Atara Hadar, 32, when the source material was written in 2021, began to describe her previous life in a village nearby when she was a child. She had a snake phobia and a fascination with the Bengali culture, which was quite different from the Marathi culture that she was being raised in, but her parents did not pay much attention to these quirks of hers. That was until the personality of her past life started to come through, named Sharada, who would speak in Bengali. This was obviously concerning for her parents, as there was no way that she could have been able to speak that language. As Sharada, the girl named 25 people with whom she had various relationships with in her lifetime. She was able to describe the nature of the relationships and how she interacted with each one. Sharada lived 150 years earlier and in a village that was about 600 miles away from Uttara's. Sharada said that she had been bitten on her right toe by a king cobra, but could not recall her death. Dr. Ian Stevenson, who was the mentor of the previously mentioned Professor Tucker, and his team of researchers learned of the case, and he was pleased that the family had not done any research on their own to verify any of the claims. Most often, he would find that the cases were contaminated by such self-research that it would be hard to distinguish what the child recalled and what they were being told. Dr. Stevenson was able to write a book about Uttara and the 24 incidences from the life of Sharada that his team were able to verify. Let me get a little sippy sip. My mouth's getting dry. Next is the pilot. So at the age of 18 months, James Leiniger began to have memories of what some believe were a past life. It began when the family took a trip to a war museum. Over time, the little boy became increasingly interested in airplanes, and eventually he developed a recurring nightmare of a burning plane crash. He would wake in the night screaming, "Airplane crash, plane on fire, little man can't get out." He would draw detailed pictures of the flight that took his life, and he signed these drawings as James 3, saying that he was the third James. When James began to talk better, he would tell his parents about his former life as a fighter pilot during World War II in the Pacific Campaign. He was able to name the type of plane he flew, but also the name of the carrier, which was Natoma. He even named a fellow pilot named Jack Larson, who had witnessed his death. It was verified that all these were true, and his parents were able to identify the man as James N. Houston, Jr., who was the only pilot from the USS Natoma Bay who died during the battle that James was describing. Since the pilot was a junior, this would be where James got the idea that he was the third. Isn't that kind of weird?
That's so, this whole idea.
James' parents were able to track down Jack Larson and confirmed that he had been James Houston's, he had seen James Houston's plane crash. They were also able to contact Houston's sister, and she confirmed other statements that James had made about their family, including their father's alcoholism. She was convinced that James was the reincarnation of her brother, and James's parents eventually published a book on his story called Soul Survivor in 2010. And I think, because I watched like a little like snippet of a documentary about this, and like the kid had gotten older and he didn't remember any of the memories, but like they had gone out to, like, they had taken a boat out to where his plane had crashed, and like kind of pushed the kid to kind of let go of his past life, and like he had a total meltdown.
Oh.
Yeah. But they all said like after that, it was like he did let go of all those memories and couldn't remember anything after that. But yeah, it was an interesting story, such as the next one is as well. Did you want to?
No, you go ahead. This is an interesting story, isn't it?
It is.
Bitch.
Let me scroll back down to it. I scrolled up too far. So next we have Dorothy Eady, whose name I have never heard before in my life. This was brand new. This was brand new information.
I am so glad that I didn't go ahead and just start researching this.
Dorothy, wouldn't it have been funny if all of mine was wrong?
I probably would have quit the podcast.
Maury,
I would have said, I am done. We are not doing this anymore.
Oh. No, I would have let you have the story if you'd put in work, because I wouldn't have cared. All right. So Dorothy Eady was born in 1904 in the Blackheath section of London, and when she was 3 years old, she fell down the stairs and was pronounced dead. Her parents were talking with the doctor, and about an hour later, they found Dorothy playing in her bed. The doctor couldn't make sense of why she was okay, and her parents were angry with the doctor for making such a mistake, but he swore that she was dead. Not long after this, Dorothy began to speak in an accent that was far different from her English accent, and wasn't something that her family could place. It is believed that she was suffering from foreign accent syndrome, which can occur in people who have had very serious head traumas. And Dorothy began to tell her parents about dreams she was having where she was in beautiful gardens in front of a building with pillars. She would tell them about how much she loved it and how her friends were there, but she had no idea where it was. Dorothy's mother would find her crying in the night because Dorothy longed to be with her friends in this place that she had begun to call home. No matter how many times her mother would tell her that she was home, Dorothy would tell her that no, her home was in that garden near that building. On a family trip, the family goes to the British Museum where they had a large ancient Egypt exhibit set up, and Dorothy was immediately taken with it. She sprinted into the exhibit, and she's running up to the different statues and kissing their feet while sobbing. She was yelling that she was home and refused to leave the museum. Her parents finally convinced her to leave, and she had now connected that exhibit with home, and she became obsessed with ancient Egypt, which led to getting into some trouble. I don't know why I wrote this the way that I did. It's kind of weird. I'm having to like reword it as I say it. So being Catholic, she would get into trouble for comparing Catholicism to other religions of ancient Egypt and was eventually banned from Sunday school and then inevitably expelled from her Catholic school for refusing to sing some of the hymns. She was also essentially banned from Sunday Mass as well. At the age of 7, she saw a photo of the Temple of Seti the First, the Egyptian pharaoh, and though it was in a more broken down condition and the remnants of the garden were barely visible, she said, "That's it, that's my home." She saw a photo of the mummy of Pharaoh Seti the First in the same book that she saw the temple and was overcome with emotion as she had claimed to have known him personally. At the age of 10, Dorothy was discovered by Egyptologist E.A. Wallace Pudge, who, I like people with weird last names like that, Pudge, who taught her how to read and write in hieroglyphics, which was a skill she picked up very quickly. She had previously felt the language was familiar, but couldn't remember how to read or write it. And by the age of 14, she was not only having the dream of her home at the Temple of Seti, but she was having a reoccurring nightmare of being kept in an underground room and was being questioned by a high priestess who demanded answers to her questions, and upon refusal, Dorothy was beaten. At 27, Dorothy met and married an Egyptian man, and as soon as they got married, they moved to Egypt. And as soon as she landed, she was overcome with emotion and began to kiss the ground and was crying. Once in Egypt, Dorothy and her husband had a son whom they named Seti, and Dorothy claimed that she was being visited by the entity known as Hera, which was the spirit of Pharaoh Seti the First. She would go into a trance at night for the first year in Egypt. She would frantically write in hieroglyphics while in these trances, and her husband would try to stop her, but she would say that she had to write down everything that Hera was dictating to her. It was an account of who she used to be, who lived. It was an account.
It was an account of the person that she was.
Yeah. The person that she was 3,000 years earlier, who lived in the Temple of Seti, and was named Ben Trishit. After 1 year of these trances, she had over 70 pages of her story. Her father was a soldier, and her mother sold vegetables and died at a young age. Her father was unable to care for her and placed her in the temple of Qalm El Sultan. She was raised here and eventually became a priestess. At the age of 12, she was given the choice to either venture out on her own or become a consecrated virgin and stay within the temple. Trishit decided to take the vow and remain in the temple. That was until she met a man, Pharaoh Seti the First. They fell in love and she fell pregnant. When her pregnancy was discovered, she was interrogated and beaten by a high priestess, just as she was in her dream, or nightmare. Ben Trishit took her own life so as to not put her beloved through a scandal. Dorothy's husband was increasingly disturbed by her behavior and eventually filed for divorce in 1936. Following the divorce, Dorothy and her young son went to live in a small town near the pyramids of Giza, and she began to go by the name Seti, which means Mother of Seti. She also began a long and highly successful career in Egyptology and took a position with Egypt's Department of Antiquities. For almost 20 years, Seti was nearly exclusively researching the Temple of Seti the First and learned more about the temple and the people who lived there. Because of a job transfer, the first time she would set foot into the temple was not until 1950, when she was almost in her 50s. She had to take a pay cut in order to take this job, but she was so desperate to be able to go inside of it that she was more than willing. And upon entering, she said that it was as if she had lived there before. She immediately set up an office there and spent most of her time there. She even had a friend, cobra snake, that she would feed. And people thought she was completely insane, but she was respected due to her numerous contributions to Egyptology, and the thing she was most highly regarded for was when she first entered the Temple of Seti, she was able to say exactly where the gardens had been. She had been seeing them in her dreams for many, many years, and said that if archaeologists dug there, that they would find the remnants of the garden. She was even able to describe the layout of the garden prior to it being unearthed. All of her claims of what were included, all of her claims of what was there were paths and trees, and all of this was able to be confirmed. She was even able to describe exactly where teams needed to dig to unearth the tunnel on the north side of the temple. And when they dug down, the tunnel was in fact unearthed. And there was no possible way for her to know that that tunnel was there. She also led researchers to an area known as the Valley of the Kings, which was a long forgotten tomb, and almost exactly where she described there was a tomb found. Researchers wanted her to end up just being some crazy lady, but it's just undeniable the amount of knowledge that she had. And just before her death, she revealed that there was another secret chamber of the Temple of Seti, which held another secret within it. But no one has ever gone down there, and no one really knows where to look without her assistance. So, that was my story I stole, but didn't steal because I'd never heard of that before.
So, are we ready for my portion of this?
Mm-hmm.
So, as we've kind of alluded, this week's topic was kind of my idea because I had heard the story on Dorothy Eady. I believe it was on TikTok that I had first seen it. I think Josh might have sent it to me initially. And I had told Britt.
Thank you, Josh.
That, the last time we recorded, when we finish recording, we always sit down and we're like, okay, what are we going to record? What do we want to do for the next session? And I said, oh, yeah, hey, by the way, I saw this really cool story about this lady who had past lives, and I really want to look into this. And I was like, I want to look into Dorothy Eady. I said, I want to write about Dorothy Eady. And then Brittany stole that shit.
Well, see, what had happened was I didn't remember that.
I
didn't remember that until you called me and was like, you stole my shit. And I was like, what are you talking about? I've never heard this lady's name before in my life.
I'm not going to lie. I was like, I'm not doing shit. This will be a short episode because I'm just going to say fuck it and let her do the thing.
Well, then you start telling me that, and I was like, that's ringing a bell.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like, let's
So,
see.
Anyway, instead of
Oopsie daisy.
Instead of just being hard-headed and not doing anything, I decided that I was going to not do reincarnation cases. I was going to take this back to the witchy shit.
Do it. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. What's up, brother? Let's talk about how to remember your past lives. So, as I was looking into this, I read this little excerpt and was like, holy shit, this makes perfect sense. And it says, if there really is such a thing as reincarnation, then why don't we remember our past lives? Actually, when you think about it, we don't even remember much of this life, let alone our past lives, which is so damn true. And because there's just a ton in my life that I just can't remember. And this could be because of trauma or just because my brain isn't wired that way, because I do have a family history of Alzheimer's. So there's that, which is crazy because I actually just said to TJ today, he will tell me like 500 times where he's got to go for work, and I never remember, ever. I have to ask him.
Well, see,
every
we were
time.
just talking about this because, like, we're doing that train ride tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
one male of our friend group that is going forgot. They're the ones that planned it in the first place.
Well, and
he was like, this is new information. I've never heard about this.
Right. I'm going to pause right here and kind of go back to your stuff. So talking about kids with the reincarnations. Yeah. So like,
I should have asked my sister while she was here, because I'm almost certain she has like a reincarnation story. Like, I'm almost certain she still has nightmares.
Okay, so that brings me to another thing I was going to say. And I didn't write any of this down so I could remember to tell you. But anyway, so like, I'm not going to say that Gemma is a reincarnation, because she hasn't like given any like memories or anything like that. But like, do you know how many times throughout her life that we have been told that she looks and carries herself and acts just like TJ's sister who passed away?
Yeah.
Years ago. Before TJ and I got together.
Right.
Kendall's 21. She was like 3 or 4 when TJ's sister passed away. Yeah. So that's crazy to me that like I have birthed another version of TJ's sister.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I was going to say, do you remember when I was working with those people at that business in Nashville?
Yes.
Okay. And then one day I just had like this revelation, and like everybody thought I was crazy or on drugs or something about reincarnation, and I had like a whole scenario and how it takes place. Like
that's ringing a bell.
Stillborn babies are because someone died before their time.
Yeah.
And then like, or not stillborn, miscarriages. Uh-huh. Miscarriages are because somebody died before. Like each soul is assigned like a certain place. So like the soul that I have has already been assigned to another place. Mm-hmm. So like
it knows where it's going.
Right.
Next.
So when I die, it's going there. So that would be a full-term baby. Mm-hmm. Early babies would be, somebody that it's before their time, but it's not like traumatic.
Yeah.
So like a miscarriage would be like that soul was assigned to that baby, but that person was walking down the street and got shot.
Yeah.
6 months before it was supposed to be born.
Yeah. I mean,
do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that could have some merit.
So it just made. I wish I could remember. I wish I had written it down, because it was like a whole thing. I called my aunt on my lunch break and was telling her about this, and she was like, "Are you high?" And I was like, "I don't get high, first of all, but no."
But like, see, my whole theory is like, I feel, and I don't know, I can't explain why I feel this way, but it's like something that I deeply feel like in my gut. Is like, whatever you believe will happen to you when you go is what's going to happen to you when you go.
I get that.
So, like, for me, I kind of, and this could be because I might be a little of the tistic community, but I get the vibe that it's like, I feel like it's almost like a video game, kind of, just to put it into simple terms. So, like, when it's game over for you and you can regenerate in a sense, and you like just wake up immediately in whatever your next life is.
Okay.
That's what I would like to think.
Well,
do I want to do this shit over again though? I don't know.
Well,
is there a congressman from Wish? I hope not.
Anyway, so back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
When you think about it, our minds are so fragile, and for it to remember all of the memories, all of the happiness, the victories, the sadness, the failures, the doubts, the wounds, all the information, all the lessons learned from this lifetime and all of those that you had in the past, it would be a lot. It would definitely be an absolute overload.
Yeah.
So I think it would be impossible to celebrate victory in this lifetime while at the same time knowing about the failure of your past.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might be your mind or soul or whatever's way of protection
Mm.
So, and that's why you don't remember it. But anyway, now that's not to say though that little shimmers of those past lives don't make their way through from time to time.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, have you ever met or just seen a person and without knowing anything about them, you just absolutely can't stand them?
Oh, yeah.
That could be someone that you encountered in your past life that did you dirty.
Yeah.
Do you have an irrational fear of something that you've never even experienced that could have also been part of your past life?
Daily.
Right.
Like, so just for instance, not to like hijack your topic again, but like my fear of heights it's bad. It's pretty bad. Like I've got my max height I'm willing to stand off of the ground is my little 2-step ladder, my little footstool. That's max. And that makes me nervous in certain situations. Like if I've got to use it on the front porch where it's like open around me, terrified. Gets dizzy. Like it's not good.
So like in a past life, you could have like fallen off a cliff or something.
Well, when I was a kid, I would have nightmares of specifically, you remember at our elementary school, which you're still probably familiar with, in the gym. So, you're facing there's the stage, and then on this side, there's just regular bleachers, and then on this side, there's steps you had to climb. I had nightmares growing up of falling off of that. And I would... You
know how many times I actually did fall off of that?
I would wake up right at impact.
Oh.
And as I got older, the fall would be further. And I would wake up right at impact. And I haven't had a dream like that in years.
You're going to have one tonight.
Probably. But...
And you're sleeping alone.
That's fine. I got Willow. She sleeps next to me. She's my comfort critter.
She's gangster.
When she's not biting me.
She'll protect you.
That's like this morning. I was like, oh, you're so sweet. She was letting me pet her. Immediately bit me. And I was like...
With her nasty fish breath.
Yeah. But yeah, that made me think of that. Because I used to have nightmares of falling and dying. But right at that impact, I would wake up.
Okay, so here's another question. Do you find yourself stupid interested in a certain culture? For me, it's like the Viking culture.
Yeah.
You may have been part of that in your past life. Maybe you were on the Titanic.
Probably.
Or King Henry.
Maybe I was one of his wives.
One of the ones that he erased from history. That whole conversation you and Maddie just had. Yeah. Anyway, so
I don't think I was Anne Boleyn.
If I've piqued your interest, any at all, stick with me. Stick with me and let's see if we can find a way that would work for you to see if we can get some of those memories back, and that will help you understand why you are the way that you are. Disclaimer. Please do this at your own risk and at a slow pace. Anytime you take that walk down memory lane, please ensure that you come back to today's time and live fully here. Don't dwell on the past.
There's memories from this life I don't want to have.
Well, so your belief system can play a big role in this. If you were raised in a belief system that denies the idea of past lives, you probably need to come to terms with that. That's probably going to cause your mind to block any attempts that you make at connecting with the past because you're programmed that way. If you aren't raised that way, a past life journal is a very useful tool to start with. Use a dedicated notebook to write down any tidbits of information that you might recover. For example, you're scrolling through TikTok tonight and apparently my appreciation of thick, strong women put me in the direction of Viking TikTok or Viking talk. There are a ton of videos of modern day Vikings singing songs and women dressed as Viking shield maidens.
Nice. That reminds me, our doctor, she's the same age as Danny, and it's so cute because every week she mentions water talk. And she
Yes.
It's just the way she describes it. I'm just like, you're precious.
So this reminded me of when I was little and was learning about the Vikings in Scandinavia and such, and it upset me because there wasn't a whole lot about them, and I always felt that they deserved more in the history books. This may lead me to believe that I lived in that time period. I could then begin to do further research into that era and see if it resonates with me, making sure that I write down any questions or feelings that I have along the way, see if I can find anything that may have influenced me in this life that would have happened then. You can also make lists of things that interest you and things that you dislike, different people, places, periods of history, foods, clothing styles, etc. My source said, your list shows that you dislike architecture of Russia, you hate being cold, and you really hated a movie that you saw about Nicholas II. I think you can get the point from there.
No.
Watch what you are paying attention to, though. Just like anything else, if you speak about it enough, you're going to notice it more. So, like, you know, I buy a Honda car.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start seeing your car everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Do you know how many of Old Smokey I see?
Right.
A lot. And I'm like, you got the same problem I do?
Right. Talk to your friends about reincarnation if you feel like it'd be a safe conversation to have. Read a book about it. Google it. So your phone will start dropping metaphysical ads on your Facebook feed. Once you really start looking into it, you're going to notice that the universe is going to drop all kinds of stuff on you, and then you're able to connect more dots. Another thing you can do, and quite possibly one of the easiest, is to activate your dream state. When you lay down, just simply ask the universe, spirit, who or whatever, to show you glimpses of your past life. Make sure that you keep that notebook handy. That way you can write down anything you might dream about before it's gone. This can take a couple of nights to get you there, but it can and should happen for you. Now, keep in mind that things might not always be what they seem. So, say that you go to sleep and dream about someone of fame or fortune. We'll just, for instance, I don't know why I use this. We'll say you dream of Christopher Columbus, okay? I don't know. I already
said it in this episode, didn't I?
I think I did.
Fuck Christopher.
Well, I'm getting there.
That guy.
It may not be that you were actually Columbus, but some higher power is telling you that you're showing the same deceptive, thieving behaviors, and you should really look into that and knock that shit off.
Foul.
Reoccurring dreams can also be a way of uncovering past lives. These are a lot of times vivid and intense. You can dream of people that you know in your dream and feel super close, but don't know them in your current life, or a place that feels familiar and comfortable, but not somewhere that you've ever been in your memory. And this may be memories from the past coming to the surface. Pay attention to the settings, the languages, or the knowledge that you knew in that dream. These also may all be clues.
So, okay, just for instance, so I can think of at least like 3 different types of dreams, but I'll give you the best.
I've been like, that one's been built.
It's disgusting. It's been just foul, this whole recording. Anyway, so I can think of at least like 3 recurring dreams I had as a kid.
Okay, hit me.
Off the top of my head. So, number 1, because I remember telling my Papa Jim about this, and he was like, this kid is crazy. So, dancing skeletons in my parents' basement.
Spooky, scary skeleton.
Exactly. And then me being a good older sister told my sister that they were actually down there. And then so she was forever scared of the basement.
Was this before or after she got pushed and hurt her?
This was
hoo-ha?
After, I think.
Okay.
I think after. And then number 2, my uncle, my mother's brother, that's fine. I used to have dreams he would hunt me down. Like, I had a dream I locked myself in a vehicle and he's like pounding on the windows trying to get me. There's probably some
I don't want to delve into those
exactly
on here.
Okay, now number 3. This one's wild.
Okay.
Stay with me. So
okay.
It also has to do with this house and staying the night here.
Oh my God, don't do this to me.
So I stayed the night here on the weekends all the time. So when I was probably like, oh gosh, maybe 7 or 8 or so, maybe a little older, I had this reoccurring nightmare about my Nana. So messed up. that I would come out and I would tiptoe down a little hallway to the kitchen and get a little treat in the middle of the night like I would.
I wish y'all could have seen the gestures that she's making.
I would open the refrigerator and my Nana was hiding dead babies in the refrigerator. And I had this dream all the time. What do you think that one means? We need to have a dream episode.
A dream interpretation one?
Yeah.
I don't know that says anything about your past life. I feel like because you were exposed to a lot more
terrified of my Nana.
You were
for weeks.
Well, exactly.
I was convinced she was killing babies.
You were exposed to more
I was in more adult situations as a child than I should have been. That one just was wild. Because I can vividly remember, like, opening that refrigerator as everything was set up the same way. Like, refrigerator was set up, open, drawers, pull them open, babies. Shelves, babies.
Okay, so question. How many miscarriages has your Nana had?
She did have several.
Okay.
Yeah. But, when I was that age, I didn't know that.
Well, no, but you were here and she lived here.
Yeah.
So.
Was she giving me her nightmares?
Maybe.
I mean.
Maybe.
Possible, yeah. She did, I think at least like 5. So.
There you go.
Maybe, but.
There you go.
I don't know. It made me scared. I thought my Nana was eating babies.
Okay, so past life regression therapy could also be another direction that you take.
Mm-hmm.
This is a style of hypnotherapy. It guides you into a deep relaxation and allows you to tap into past lives that can explain issues from today's time. This whole thing is literally a way for you to go in, find out the info that you need, and get back out, learning what you need to take away from the past and apply it to today. Another source that I found gives more of a ritualistic approach. So let's delve into that. It's a 10-step process. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
And this is one that I've seen. I've also seen, and I want to add this because I didn't put it, like mirror scrying.
Yeah.
Literally just sitting in front of a mirror and staring at yourself.
Ew.
No, I'll get into it a little bit more because I may mention it here. But
myself.
Anyway,
she's ugly.
So, step 1, you're going to prepare your space. Make it a comfortable area, the perfect temperature, the perfect spot to sit or lay, the perfect lighting. Turn off any noise or device that may make noise that's going to distract you. If you need noise to kind of focus in, white noise is honestly the best thing for you with this, as long as it's calming. Step 2, relax your mind. Sit in your comfy spot or lay in your comfy spot. Calm your body, calm your mind. Make sure that you're not hungry or easily distracted. What are you doing?
Nothing. If you heard something nasty, it was just tomorrow.
Oh, are you making her make noises in the microphone? No. Bitch. Look, I'm already pissed at you over this episode, and you keep on with your bullshit. I'm going to shut this shit down.
Sorry, I'll behave.
Step 3. No, I already did step 3. No, I didn't. Step 3. Relax your body. Pay special attention to your pose. You can sit or lay wherever you like as long as you are relaxed and unwound. Step 4.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, then this isn't for you. Try a different way, but some of our listeners can probably do this. Anyway, step 4. Protect yourself. This is one of the most important steps of the entire process. This can be done with herbs or candles, or just visualizing like a white light enveloping all around you as a shield of protection against any distraction or negativity. Step 5. Create your hallway. So any of you Vampire Diaries originals people out there are going to know this reference. This is giving me Elijah when he gets stuck in the amulet in his own mind. vibes. In this step, you're visualizing a long hallway with a large door at the end. The details are all yours to make up, but make sure that you are paying attention to even the smallest of those details. Make sure that you remember it. You can write it down in your journal ahead of time as you're, because you're going to make this up. Write it down in your journal ahead of time if you find this to be helpful. You're going to be using this hallway each and every time that you take this journey. The expectation of this journey in the hallway is that when you reach the big door at the end and you turn the knob, you find a past life.
Oh.
Step 6. Walk down the hallway. Pay attention to each and every step taken. Each step needs to be done with purpose. Focus on your feet touching the ground with each step and visualize each aspect of the journey as you make it to the end of the hall. Take in the smell, the sounds, as well as even the smallest of visual details. Take your time on this part. It can take a while, and that's fine. When you finally get to the door, grab the doorknob. See yourself holding it. Notice the feeling, the texture, the temperature, the sound it makes as you turn it, and then when you turn it fully, take a deep breath before pushing it open. Step 7. Welcome a past life. Accept whatever it is that you see when that door is open. It may not be a whole scene. You could just see a color, but make sure that you're taking it all in and use it as a foundation to build on. Once you have the foundation, your mind can come up with things to add on, and what you see is just as a simple color or a basic shape could morph into a more specific item. The bigger picture may take time to put together, but each component is another clue as to when and where you are. Step 8, patience is key, even if you see absolutely nothing. That's just an indicator that your focus needs to be taken elsewhere. Think of something that you noted on your list and see if you think this is past life related. If this doesn't help, look down at your feet in this visualization. What shoes are you wearing? This could give you a clue. If you see that you're wearing moccasins, you may then notice that you're wearing traditional Native American clothing. Then it could build from there. Step 9. Accept what you see. This is most important. You may doubt that what you see is truly a past life. You may think that your mind is just making this up, and that could be the case, but this is all part of the process. As almost always, there is a small bit of truth at the core of each vision. This is where repetition is key. Doing this process over and over will uncover patterns and details that are consistent. It's okay, though, if you see something that you don't like. You can't do anything about it, as it is in the past, and we've all done things that we're not proud of. Step 10. Come back to the present. This will usually happen on its own. This process can be exhausting, so if your visions start to fade, let them. If you feel yourself being critical of what you're seeing, open your eyes and come back to the present. If you're at a point where you're ready to come back, visualize the doorway where you began. Open that door and walk back up the hallway to where you started. So that was the end of that one. Now, couldn't remember if I put anything about the mirror in there, and I didn't, but I do have something to add to this after that. But the mirror scrying situation.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what you do is you just you kind of want to get rid of all distraction again, but you're literally just going to sit and stare into a mirror, and your eyes will start to shift, and you're going to start seeing, and you may notice that your face changes, or your clothing changes, or maybe you're wearing a hat, or and it's going to give you clues as to past lives and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think I heard that on the Witch Pitch Amateur Hour too. Maybe. But anyway, in closing, while learning about your past life is cool and all, make sure that you always get back to the here and now, and make sure that you live to the highest of your abilities and give back all that you owe. Don't leave a mess for the next you to recover.
Oh.
Look at me hitting with some positivity there at the end.
I wish Willow would come in here.
Why?
I miss her.
Oh my God.
What
Do you
think she's in there
have-
doing?
Do you have the nonprofit for this week?
Yeah, I picked the Ancient Egyptian Heritage and Archaeology Fund. The Ancient Egyptian Heritage and Archaeology Fund is a private nonprofit organization with a mission to support research and conservation of Egyptian history and culture. In particular, it seeks to record and publish sites and monuments at risk from archaeological and urban expansion, looting and vandalism, and climate change. And as per usual, I will leave a link if you want to donate directly to that organization. Ancient Egypt was one of my, and that's probably the reason why my brain was like, you've never heard of this lady before. Ancient Egypt was one of my special interests when I was in 6th grade. I was thinking, no, maybe I did finally throw it away. I said, it's time to let go, but I might still have it. I had my presentation folder for where I had to do a whole project on, I say had to do, I volunteered to do it, for Ancient Egypt in 6th grade in Miss Scherger's class.
Well, I forgot about that teacher.
Yeah. I think she left the year after. She went and taught at a Montessori school, or however you say it. I always thought it was Montessori, but it's not. It's Montessori. I was like, well, clearly I didn't belong there. So,
Clearly that wasn't for me.
right.
Well, thank y'all for coming to another week. We
Yeah.
appreciate you. Make sure, I'm not giving a whole spiel this time. Make sure that you go and follow us on the socials. Complete your social circles on Facebook,
Instagram,
TikTok.
Twitter.
She built that up. Like,
Wound up.
this is one of those times that I
X.
wish we had a visual aspect of this.
I just like the fact that like Elon Musk bought it and called it X because he didn't want it to be called Twitter, and everybody still calls it Twitter.
Like, okay, because like when you put a post on there, it's called a tweet. What do you call it when you're on X? And what is it?
How do you think his other kids feel?
Huh?
That's his kid's nickname is X.
Excuse
The
me.
oldest one with Grimes. That's like
I didn't know that was a thing. First of all, I'm old and I don't keep up with stuff.
he's got kids with Grimes. He's
Okay.
got 3. He doesn't allow her to see him.
Wait, Grimes is not that old.
No, she's not.
Gross.
Yeah, she was actually pregnant with the first one, X, and then they had 2 subsequent children via surrogate. Surrogate.
Anyway. You said X. Email us at
wanderersofweird@gmail.com. Okay, bye.
Bye.